Huge news breaking moments ago. If you're a fan of excellence on the court and democracy in general, NBA superstar LeBron James has announced his endorsement for Vice President Kamala Harris. LeBron James writing to his 53 million followers on Twitter and 159 million followers on Instagram. This, quote, "What are we even talking about here? When I think about my kids and my family and how they will grow up, the choice is clear to me. Vote Kamala Harris."
Tonight, mixed messages. A K-File investigation this hour finds Kamala Harris is targeting crucial battleground voters with vastly different messages on Gaza and Israel. This ad is running in Michigan, which has the largest Arab population in America.
What has happened in Gaza over the past 9 months is devastating. We cannot allow ourselves to become numb to the suffering, and I will not be silent.
All right, well, it's a very different story for an ad in Pennsylvania targeting Jewish voters.
Let me be clear. I will always stand up for Israel's right to defend itself, and I will always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself, because the people of Israel must never again face the horror that a terrorist organization called Hamas caused on October 7th.
Different message. Andrew Kaczynski is out front now. So, Andrew, those obviously do sound starkly different, to say the least.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
Tell me more about what you found.
Yeah, that's right. And look, this really illustrates the sort of fine line that the Harris campaign is trying to walk here in the closing weeks, closing days of this campaign on the issue of Israel. Here you have two entirely different constituencies, and they are getting two entirely different messages. There are often times these constituencies have very opposing views on this. If you are a Jewish person in Pennsylvania, you saw that ad that you're getting. You are getting that ad that talks about how strong she is in Israel. If you're a Muslim voter in Michigan, you are getting that ad on Facebook that's talking about how she won't be silent on the issue of Gaza. Now, what's really interesting here is that ad that we just played, the one that's going to Jewish voters in Pennsylvania. Now, it sort of sounds like those two clips of her talking about Israel are together, but they actually cut part of it out. Take a listen to what they cut.
What has happened in Gaza over the past 10 months is devastating. President Biden and I are working to end this war such that Israel is secure, the hostages are released, the suffering in Gaza ends, and the Palestinian people can realize their right to dignity, security, freedom, and self-determination.
And you've seen, too, that they cut out that portion of the ad where they talked about Gaza from her DNC speech. Those two parts were together. They sliced them. They cut that part out. Now, look, she's also getting hammered a lot on this issue by Republicans. We talked just a couple days ago about how those robocalls were airing in Wisconsin that are made to sound like they're in support of Jill Stein, talking about her position on Gaza, saying that they're highlighting her pro-Israel position, and they're sort of trying to siphon those votes away from her. So this is a really delicate issue for her.
Oh, it certainly is. I mean, the Palestinian people can realize their right to dignity, security, freedom, and self-determination being cut out. It's important to notice that.
First, hey, did anyone notice anything strange about the White House Halloween event this week? Look, I'm not even talking about the weirdness of Joe Biden eating a baby. That's pretty much par for the course for that guy. No, instead I'm talking about Jill Biden's costume. Have a look at what the First Lady came dressed as. Panda bear. How interesting. What a very interesting choice, to say the least, especially because China, the Communist People's Republic of China, claims ownership of every single panda in the world. Call me crazy, but there's some pretty interesting symbolism happening right there.
I want to tell you the best news, or the good news, for each of the candidates, because in a 50-50 race, I don't want anyone to be surprised when a particular result happens. We're not going to play the Sooks game of the Hillary Clinton world. I want you to know what is happening. So let's start with Donald Trump. He has been doing rallies every couple of hours. He has been moving from state to state to state. The energy this guy has is phenomenal to see. And don't forget, the stakes for him are he will be president of the United States potentially by the end of the week, or he's on a path to going to prison. He does not look like a guy who is playing that sort of bet at a casino. Instead, he looks like a man who thinks he's playing with the bank's money when it comes to votes, and he thinks he's on his way back to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. But the best news for him today was a story you probably haven't heard about, and it was a story that comes from Minnesota. Now, as you know, we're keeping particular focus on the blue wall states. Now, the blue wall states are always Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, but just next to that is Minnesota. Both Minnesota and the other states have got significant Islamic populations. And the best news for Trump was that yesterday Islamic leaders came out and said, fight, fight, fight. They're all in on Trump.
Some of the key issues of the community are the global wars, and we're for peace. Economic issues, family values and education are some of the critical issues that this community cares. On top of that, this community cares about the economic issues and the inflation. With all these and a number of other issues, the community came together and fully is standing behind President Donald J. Trump. Yes.
The best news for Kamala Harris is, just like Donald Trump, she is crisscrossing the country, rally after rally after rally, celebrity after celebrity after celebrity. Whether that's going to work this time when it didn't in 2016, we'll all find out together. But the best news for her is an earthquake in political news circles. This will dominate the news amongst those who talk about politics, and it is a poll from a state that we did not consider to be a swing state or one that's going to be changing. It's the state of Iowa. Now, Iowa is very small. As you know, to become the president, you have to win the nomination first, and that means you have to start the primary process in Iowa. The lady who does this poll for the Des Moines Register, you could almost bet your house on her. She was the pollster who put out just before the 2016 election the canary in the coal mine that Trump was going to do well in that part of the US. Well, as you can see, Harris has now flipped and is in the lead right now in Iowa. If that happens, there's a whole bunch of scenarios that I'll explain to you a little bit later, but that is a sign that something is happening.